What's good, YouTube? And welcome to the house. It's time for Galactic Brain Banlist Buyouts, and Heavy Metal Foes Electrumite is no stranger to these at all. The first edition, players are actually throwing their money at the screen, $20 a pop here, and it is quickly $20 also over here. It's $18, $19, $20 within just 3 listings, and my opinion on this is, it sounds pretty good on paper, right? When you actually think about, oh, the upcoming deck building set. Yeah, it's got pendulums in it and Dimension Force. They're clearly going to want to sell these sets, and if they unban it, they will sell like crazy. Wait a minute. There's a new Link monster kind of meant to replace Electrumite in Dimension Force, and if I'm Konami trying to take advantage of that entire player base, I make that a secret rare in here and get you to buy the new product, not necessarily supercharge it. And somebody I feel like in the TCG office really hates Electrumite on top of it, where they say, oh, all of the play becomes so linear thanks to Electrumite. I feel like that's not so much the case anymore, but it really does feel like they're going to keep this on the ban list, in my opinion. But again, with ban list, that's always speculation. Sometimes a huge move to shock the community and get people excited does happen with it, and the OCG is storming us with pendulum stuff, and maybe the office here will finally accept that. What do you think? Are you one of the people who are actually spending their money like this? Let me know in the comment section down below. Or do you think, like I do, it's a bit of Copium Pendulums will get all of the help on the ban list? I think it'll be more like Skull Crobat finally to 3, maybe giving us the 1 plush flyer, but we'll have to wait and see. Now, we have the Grand Creators full spoiler -4 collector rares, which doesn't give us the total estimated value pulled for this set, but it varies just a little bit with collector rares, right? Unless you have a ton of good ones, like the world premiere sets. The deck building sets really suffer, and so far we only have a couple good collector rares outside of the Brave token archetype, which also is largely Ultra. So people have been asking me what I think the prices will be for the Brave engine. Oh my gosh, John. And last stream, it was a ton of people coming in nonstop about this and Solemn Strike. So let me say, first off, I think that this set was not ordered a whole lot. After Genesis Impact, which had a meta and the Rogue favorite in it with the Live Twins, and then you also had Drytrons being the meta deck, it flopped really bad due to collector rare choices, and while this makes up for that a little bit, it doesn't completely do it, but we still have 4 more to see, and maybe it swings it around, but just the options that can be, like, they're stuck under the thumbs of Ultimate Rare. Solemn Strike being the best, Torrential people are raving about. I would hope that E-Tully's one of the final 4, but with how many missed opportunities are there, we'll have to wait and see. All those buts aside, what is the engine going to cost? I think it's going to be somewhere under Sky Striker, but somewhere above Drytron. And I think Exorcisters and Punk will be very, very cheap. What do I think about Punk? I think it's a worse version of the Synchro engines that already exist. Exosisters are really missing a Durandal-like effect where you can make your opponents do graveyard things so that they can get their effects off, but they do get help later on. It just doesn't really feel worth it. So looking at the Brave token engine, that's the key word. Engine, it's going to be played in multiple decks, and people will be going after that. I think that's way different than Drytrons, where it's a mechanical deck that not everybody meshes and melds with how its playstyle goes, and a lot more people will be after it. I've also heard from some of my bigger vendor friends, they got notice, this isn't coming in waves to them, and they're getting it all at once. I can't speak for all vendors that that's the case, but hearing it from some of the big boys that are getting major shipments in, that's very interesting, because that would mean there's not really a supply chain issue with this, meaning I think it's ordered a lot less. Think about Ancient Guardians and Genesis Impact versus Grand Creators. They didn't do so hot, and a lot of vendors might be pulling away from these not all foil side sets after getting burned so many times when only the world premiere sets have been doing good. So my thoughts again are, your ultra rares are only 3.6 pulled per case. You're only seeing 1 of each collector rare pulled in about 4 cases, because you see 4 on average collector rares per case, and then you need to pull 15 in order to get there, meaning 4 cases need to be open to see 1 of each plus 1 on average. Of course, RNG will mess with that. And then with 10 ultra rares per set, you actually look at pulling 3 per box. That means 3.6 of each average per case. There's no short prints there. There's still RNG to be had. you're only looking at a playset of the Brave tokens per case. That means $700 plus needs to be ripped open to get for this, and it may be ordered less and open less because of how vendors were burned. So keep all that in mind as pre-sales actually go up and the competition ramps up. And also for Solemn Strike, I feel like that it in particular, oh, well, there's another card that's bought out, to click the wrong tab. I feel like with Solemn Strike that the ultimate rare, while the alternate of having a collector rare will bring down the demand and a lot of people will go ahead and settle for that collector rare, won't necessarily bottom out this version completely. The lowest English copies are around $300+. Actually, that's Italian, so they go even further beyond that to where they are $350. I don't think people are just going to suddenly be selling them off, but having a different option for a nice version certainly will draw a bit of attention away, but it won't necessarily drive the price down and just bottom it out, but over a long-term end period might take attention away from it. We will have to wait and see that kind of effect as we have with other collector rares versus, say, Pot of Desires, but it caught Pot of Desires while it was already cheap, and that still managed to go up a little over time. Now, Insector Gigamantis was not reprinted in the set. It's an Insector you probably want access to, and with that, it is getting bought out in pretty big proportions. The Ultra Rare, only 15 copies left on market, and you can see that near mints are spiking up to ridiculously placed parts such as the Ultimate Rare. Now, Aluber, the Jester of Despia. John, I thought this could only go up. It could only skyrocket, and new support in Dimension Force. The Dragon, everything's so amazing for it. Why is it going down? I'm freaking out. I bought so many. Calm down, first off. Second off, there's no guarantees in the market, right? Third off, what happens every time with the market? Look at, say, Destiny Fusion. It spiked up to $6 on initial announcement, fell down to $3 whenever we saw the, people that bottom out stop doing it. And then finally the engine starts to appear, goes back to 6, goes to 10, goes to 12, proves itself, goes to 20. That's kind of the route that this is going to take, I feel like, where it's already spiked so proportionally versus where it was, all the way down to the 30s early on in its life. And now you have people going in, getting hyped for all the reveals, and the reveals are slowing. And now Dimension Force is done. And where will we see the next stuff for this deck? And you start to see it trail off just a bit in terms of its sales. Now, most of them are listed at $65, but yes, I do think after this deck proves itself within the metagame as the deck to play, not just an option to play, you will start to see it go up over time. But again, it has to get here, it has to do that, and it has to not have this leveling ban list that hurts parts of its engine as well, mixed in with other decks, which I don't think it necessarily will. But again, there's a lot of if, ands, and maybes heading towards that structure deck coming out all the way in April. That's a long time to also hold on to your money versus other opportunity cost, which is why you commonly see OCG announcements spike, then it dips for a while, then it heads back up. There's no just, oh my gosh, it's gonna skyrocket straight to the moon all the way and keep going and it feels good, man. That doesn't happen with the Yu-Gi-Oh! Market very often. Vampire Sucker is seeing a bit of a buyout on its first edition version. It is back up to $15. Just a lot of zombie generic goodness coming in these recent sets, and it seems like people are onto it. And also, Flood is a very nice set, and this is a bit of waifu tax. Man-Eating Black Shark. I actually don't know what this one is getting bought out for. Of course, it's a ready fusion target, but being level 5 specifically, let me know if there's an end game for you in your water decks, because that's a lot of money, and we are seeing all the $10 copies going over time, and now the lowest are 20. Trap Dust Shoot, first edition, and almost every version of Trap Dust Shoot is going up. Be aware if you have it near mint in your GOAT deck. The lowest is actually 16. Lamsalot, I see him in the live streams here and there. And then we have it pretty much bought out 20 and 20. So this has been going up over time. You can see they were selling for around $8 to $9, but Trap Dust Shoot just over time, especially with the past formats available and how many past formats it exists in, is seeing a bit of a spike on all versions, and the common is the cheapest version, and even the unlims are starting to go along with that. So be aware, if you have dust shoots, you have more money than you had before, and if you're in the market for them, you're paying a bit more than you were. Ivageshki Gus Kraken. I know we're getting a lot of ritual support, and heck, some of the new cards are ritual support that we still don't know about that are coming as world premiere cards to the TCG. y'all are on another level going for the Gishki stuff. But hey, there are degenerate things that I guess could happen with this, and it's one of the original Stevie memes. Let me know what you think about the Eva Gishki cards getting gone in on. Alpha the Master Beast is suddenly spiking, and all the first editions are going pretty darn fast. I think it has been an underestimated card for some times, but it fell all the way to $6 not too long ago. You can see all the sales rates here, and suddenly it is spiking back towards $10. Let me know if you're playing this as a specific tech for something in a specific deck. I see it a little more here and there on Dueling Book, but I don't really know that it's justifiable other than this is generic good the card that could be played someday somewhere, or if it's an actual rumbling from it coming to the market. And finally, speaking of that as well, I know a ton of people are going for Crossout Designator here during the winter. I know MCole40 has shouted it out that it hit what he thought was bottom out. I also agreed and said a lot of stuff from the Megatons are bottomed out right now though. I wouldn't be looking at just this, but also around. It has the potential, of course, to spike the most if it finds a majority play in the metagame. But that's also around speculation like Maxi in conversations right now. While the sales rate is super up for this, you have to deck build around it. It is an amazing option. It is a really good card. But is it going to be worth the price? Probably, yes. But we are seeing it spike just around $4 right now. It bottomed out $33, $34, and now it's around $38 with a ton of sales rates on this card as people just hopium that it ends up good. Let me know if you're on Crossout Designator right now, or if you think, nah, I'm never going to bother with this card. Let other people go ahead and play their one-ofs. I think playing one-ofs can be really good sometimes. It makes your opponent forced to play around, say, a Nibiru that they know you might or might not have, which is almost as effective as playing 3 sometimes, unless you actually need that Nibiru. Thanks for watching today's Market Watch. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed the conversation. Let me know what you think of everything going on. Again, I'm not going to throw a dart at the dartboard and name an exact price on this token engine, but with lower ratios than ever on all your cards and a lot of it being ultra rare, be prepared to pay if you are going after this engine, especially in collector rare and ban list copium everywhere.